Hola Madridistas, welcome to our preview for a La Liga matchup against, one of our most bitter rivals, Valencia. Although we do have someone who's not so bitter to help us out today in today's preview. Let's welcome today's guest, Gaya. Gaya, introduce yourself. How you doing, man?
Hey guys, it's Gaya Hive here. It's a pleasure to be here on this podcast and to review the game. And as Jacob said, I'm not so bitter
Yeah.
rival. So yeah, looking forward to the game and looking forward to this preview and how it goes.
Really? Like, I thought you would have negative thoughts or negative, opinions about Real Madrid.
Everybody has negative opinions against Real Madrid. Every single team in the league has negative opinions against Real Madrid, especially going into Saturday's game. One of the things that the local media in Valencia has highlighted is the terrible officiating in games between Real Madrid and Valencia. People remember the Ushinaka Nage and this thing, the Albeda's red card during the Benitez era. Yeah, a lot of talk has been surrounding the officiating against in games against Real Madrid. And if you remember, in the last 30 games, I don't think Valencia has won at the Santiago Bernabeu versus Madrid. So yes, there's a lot of tension. There's a lot of criticism concerning the officiating, even before the game. A lot of highlight on that.
Yeah. La Liga as a whole has been suffering from that. It's not just a me thing or a Real Madrid thing. Let's just say that. But before we get into any of that, let's not forget our MVP on the spot, Farooq. Have you gotten any kind of sleep after yesterday's episode? How are you doing, man?
Bro, you and this your, crappy introductions, man. Come on. You should introduce me better, man. We saw how you introduced Kevin
Okay,
last week, bro. Calm down,
Farooq,
man.
Farooq, first of his
You,
name,
you don't you,
the grandchild of Nigeria, the heartthrob of ladies in
okay.
Milan. What more do you want?
Now you're making my head swell. Let's come back to it. Let's come back to it. Yeah, man. Yesterday was a very good one. It was a nice game, and we watched quite a good game, and it was a really good discussion after the match with you guys, as well. So yeah, it's fantastic, and it's so good to have Gaia with us here. And if you guys are wondering, me and Gaia will be kinsmen. We come from the same country. We are both two Nigerians. So, as Jacob was saying, there is no hostility here. Nigeria meet Nigeria who go fight. Hey, we are just united in Nigerianness. That's just it. We are, guy. On that note, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah,
It's a pleasure to be here too.
absolutely. But before we actually head into the meat of the preview for today, Guy, would you like to take us on your journey on how you became a Valencia fan, especially since we don't see a lot of Valencia fans and whatnot from Nigeria, and you can also maybe describe some things that you put on Twitter because I read a lot of your tweets and it's all based off of La Liga, and you also mentioned you are a follower of Almeria this season.
Yeah, so yes, I grew up in a football crazy family. My mom, my dad, yeah, basically everyone around me watched football a lot. But one thing was that everybody around me was a Manchester United fan. Almost every single person around was a Manchester United fan growing up. But I didn't feel an identity. I didn't feel connected to Manchester United. And almost around that time, I started watching Valencia Football Club, yeah, and I think I fell in love. I fell in love with the atmosphere and from watching it direct on the TV, you could see the connection the fans had with the players, the atmosphere, the gameplays and all of that. And I fell in love with this team and I said, oh yeah, this is the team I want to identify with, this is the team I want to follow. And yeah, from there on I started following Valencia. And yeah, it has been a roller coaster ride up till now. In regards to what I do basically, yeah, I talk a lot about La Liga. I'm a La Liga enthusiast. I like to call myself a La Liga enthusiast. Valencia most importantly. Almeria this season. Well, it hasn't really gone well with Almeria this season because they've had a terrible season despite the influx and the transfers they spent on this season. So yeah, terrible transfers. But yeah, talking about La Liga brings me joy and brings me happiness. So yeah, I follow the league and I try to follow the clubs as well.
Awesome.
I
Yeah,
also
guys.
write from time to time.
Where do you write your articles on?
I have a blog on WordPress. That's GayaHive.wordpress.com. I talk mainly about Valencia actually.
All right. Sounds good. But that's all well and good. And this season, Valencia are actually doing pretty decent, back from the dead from, the 16th place finish of last season. Me and Farouk, we actually previewed a lot of the couple of games against Valencia last season, and then we were like, Farouk, if correct me if I'm wrong, like we both hoped Valencia would get relegated, or nah.
Yeah. That was the thing. We both hoped that, if I recall correctly, because the whole shenanigans with Peter Lim was just not making sense anymore. So we just kind of felt that it was important to get rid of the parasite, and there is no better way to get rid of people like this than if they start to lose a lot of money, and relegation to the second division might be that. And also the rivalry between Real Madrid and Valencia is something that needs no introduction. And obviously, like, the difficulty of the how even though, as Gaia was saying before, like Valencia haven't won at the Bernabeu in a long time, like it's just those pests that just come and they never go away easily, no matter how, whatever the result is, like like Valencia is always there for a fight, man. So because of that rivalry, at least you just want them to just piss off for a while, and then they can come back later.
Piss off for a while, yeah. But Guy, like, would you like? I know last season we, from a Real Madrid fan perspective, we analyzed why Valencia were fighting for relegation for some reason, and then would you like to, if you don't mind, revisiting some past trauma? Would you like to take us through the circumstances that led your team there?
It is trauma indeed. It is trauma. Yeah, I think everybody knows the genesis of this Valencia's issues. It's not something that started this season. Earliest from the Celades season. That's when everything started going down well, where Peter Lim decided to sack Marcelino Garcia and Matteo Alemani, because they didn't listen to him, and they didn't listen to his wishes and how he wanted to run the club. Because Matteo Alemani, and they didn't want to prioritize a Champions League qualification over winning the cup, which Marcelino and Matteo did actually achieve. They qualified for Champions League, and they also won the Copa del Rey that season against Barcelona. But then that wasn't satisfactory enough for Peter Lim, and he decided to let go of both of them, bringing in Albert Celades into his first senior managerial role in that season. Everything started going downhill from then. From there, they signed after sacking Celades, Vuro came in once again to save the season that year. Then Avi Garcia was signed as the manager that season in the transfer window. Peter Lim hid behind the COVID-19 excuse and refused to give Avi Garcia any signing at the beginning of the season. In the winter transfer window, they decided to sign Patrick Cutrone, Jesus Olivia, and Ferry for this thing on loan, and all three didn't even have any impact. The next
Yeah.
season they brought in Bodalas. Um, Bodalas managed to get into the Copa del Rey final, which we lost against Betis. He also made the same complaint, not getting signings, not getting the right signings or the players he wanted. And yeah, but that was sacked even after a cup final achievement. Yeah, and Gattuso came in. Gattuso also complained about the same thing. Although Gattuso did give the fans hope this last season. Gattuso gave the fans hope. Yeah, the fans generally we had hope. We thought we could have qualified for the Conference League. I think that was the general feeling amongst Valencia fans that, yeah, there was a possibility of qualifying for the conference league, especially, well, we had a bad run of form going into the World Cup break. But when we came back from the World Cup break, we faced Madrid in the Super Cup semi-final, where we played to a 1-1 draw, and the performance in that Super Cup semi-final was wonderful, was beautiful. And Gattuso wasn't backed in the winter transfer window, because he asked for Nain Hernandez and he wasn't backed, and Gattuso decided to resign.
Mm.
Voro came in as usual, and Voro lost again to Madrid at the Santiago Bernabeu, a 2-0 defeat. I think he lost to Girona too, and this in three defeats. Then Barra comes in, and one thing that stood, or that was surprising, not so surprising because he had coached the academy, but then one thing that stood out with Barra was his trust in academy players. Barra decided to take advantage of the fact that, yes, this is a youth squad. Why not just give the chances to the youths? Why not give the chances to those people that have been in this club, that have been here, and that want to be in the club? Barra utilized his youth very well, and yeah, although we escaped relegation on the last day of the season. We escaped relegation on the last day of the season. It was a roller coaster, to be honest. But Bara did he came in and did what was expected to do. I've been a very big critic. I've been a very big critic of Bara's play style, and believe that this Bara might not be the right person for Valencia. But yeah, he has to be applauded because he has done a very good job and saving us from relegation. And now we are currently eighth
Yeah.
on the La Liga table, and arguably have the best wonder kid in the league in Aviguera. Yeah, so it's a nice thing actually. I think most of the fan base might not have hope of of European places, but I think yes, I might be looking towards a mid-table finish.
Mm. Yeah, it's a you come a long way from, last season. Do you think this form can be sustained, or do you think you actually need some reinforcements in the winter transfer window?
I think recently we went on this thing on a 5 game winless run, or I think we had a win in 6 games recently. But in that run, we faced this thing. We faced Real Sociedad. I think we faced this thing. Okay, we beat Atletico Madrid in that run.
You
But
beat
yeah, we faced
Sevilla as
Sociedad.
well
We beat Atletico.
at the start of the season.
Yeah, we beat. But that was at the start of the season. I don't think Sevilla's season has really gone to plan. This season I don't think Sevilla has had a really good season this season. But yeah, we had a terrible run recently where we were this thing where we had a win in this thing in 6 games, and that was the Atletico Madrid win. We lost to Sociedad, we lost to Real Betis, we drew against Almeria and Mallorca. But I think this thing obviously Valencia has only one right winger this season, and that's Fran Perez and Diego Lopez, and this thing and Sergio Canos are left wingers. Only two first team strikers. Alberto Mari is currently injured, but I think he can be recovered. Valencia might need to this thing to get reinforcements in January. First choice defender Diakabi is also going to AFCON. So it depends on Barra. And there's rumors linking Valencia to Carlos Vicente of Racing Ferrol in the second division, a right winger. So it depends on Peter Lim, not necessarily Barra or Corona. It depends on Peter Lim if Peter Lim is willing to invest into the club in the winter transfer window. If not, it's the same thing over and over again from previous years.
Yeah, sounds like a dangerous game to play, especially if you only have one right winger on your team.
Yeah, it is dangerous. It is dangerous.
Yeah. Okay. Before we, get into the analysis of some important players from Valencia, let's go to a couple of comments. So Sunil is in the chat. He says, "Bats in town. Vamos." And Ricardo's also here. So he says, "I think a front three we played against Braha could be used against certain opponents going forward. From what I saw, the front three wasn't static and was the most dynamic I've seen all season." Farouk, do you agree? Like, do you think we should actually let Jude sit a few of these smaller games out and play Brahim there instead?
I mean, well, what do you? It depends on how you define smaller games, and that's the key thing there. Because eventually, like if you're 1 point behind or leading by 1 point, eventually then there is no such thing as a smaller game. So because of that, like you don't want to take the risk. And one thing also we've seen again is that as we mentioned yesterday, is that the major issue that has always been with Brahim, even when you ask Milan fans, it's about the fact about that consistency. When does he show up? When doesn't he show up? So I think it's too early to get ahead of ourselves. Let's see if he's able to maintain this impact that he has on the team across a couple of games more, because this is just his second start. Although yeah, he has 2 goals in 2 starts, but I would want to see more before I eventually decide that okay, I'm willing to trust Brahim as a replacement for Jude, because let's not forget what Jude has done. Basically Jude is the most informed attacker in Europe right now. So I'm arguably alongside Harry Kane or whatever it is, but that's just it. Like so coming in to replace him is not something easy. But yeah, to Ricardo's, I totally agree with what he said. That yesterday was the most mobile we have seen the front three at least since the beginning of the season.
Absolutely. And Gaya, the next question is probably for you. So Ricardo also says, Valencia have this mental ability to significantly raise the game to the highest of levels, especially when they are playing against us at home. And we don't know how they do it, but they just do. Do you know the secret sauce behind Valencia's, form against us? or is it just a mentality thing?
Um, I think if he's referring to the form against Real Madrid, especially at Mestalla, I think the fans have to be applauded. I think the fans give 100%. Whether Valencia is battling relegation, whether they are at the top of the table, the fans give 100%. I think this thing we have one of the best average attendance percentage this season. 45. I think our last game that was against Granada. We had 44,000 people in attendance for a 45,000 capacity stadium. The fans are literally the backbone of the thing. The fans, this thing, and yeah, recently with Bara, there's been this thing. He has created mentality monsters. His main this main criteria for building the team was have people that are mentally strong and people that want to be there to play for Valencia and understand what it means to play for Valencia Football Club. And yes, I think the fans actually the fans push the team. The fans push the team forward.
Absolutely. It's especially since this Valencia team is so young, right? There's so many young talents, and it's so important that they are happy at Valencia in order to, grow their career instead of, trying to just push for a move elsewhere with just one season of good form. Yeah, that mentality
Ah,
mindset
yeah, 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 yeah. It's
is
very
going to be very
important.
important.
It's very important.
Yeah. All
Yeah, I
right.
think actually that's the thing, like you mentioned about the fans, at the Marseille, but I would say it's not just even that as well, because even at the Bernabeu, like it's always been okay. Yeah, there's been games here and there where it's not been the case, but I always remember even the games against Valencia at the Bernabeu really it's always been very very difficult. And yeah, rightly Guy pinpointed, Ruben Barra has having a very very influential impact on the team. And it's I think it's nothing more even obvious than when you look at the youngster, like that he was mentioning before, like Javi Guerra, like it's basically, how far the guy has come. Basically, he was from the second, he was promoted from the second team, given the number 8 jersey, which ironically was also, won by Barha himself as also, that just goes to show you how much, level of trust exists between these youngsters and this coach. And he's basically, someone that they look up to. So that kind of helps a lot, honestly. So, it's immense credit to Barha and what, the miracle that he was able to pull off last season.
Absolutely. That's a good transition into talking about Valencia's players, and who better to start than Javi Guerra? We know how good he is. He burst onto the scene with that golazo against Atleti. I don't think a single La Liga fan has missed that goal. So, talk us through him, Kaya. How good is he? Do you think he can actually, become a starter for a much bigger team or even for his international side?
Rather, let's rephrase the
Uh,
question. Do you think his potential Real Madrid starting property?
I think he's better than Real Madrid. He
Oh,
should
wow.
aim for better than Real Madrid. He should aim better than Real Madrid.
Ah,
I think
unless if
last
he's going to
season.
go and play football in Mars, and we know that nothing exists there. Unless he's going to go and play football in Mars, there's nothing that is better than Real Madrid on the surface of this earth.
Fair
Actually.
enough. Last season, at the beginning of last season, Valencia started the season with five first team midfielders. Funny enough, the average age of the first team midfielders was actually younger than that of the second team, the VCF Mestalla. I think I was actually one of the first people on in the Valencia space to say this thing. Valencia have to promote Javi Guerra immediately. I watched Aviguera against Barcelona B in the preseason of last season's preseason. I watched him against Barcelona B, and I was impressed. I was more than impressed. I was impressed. I made it clear that this thing Gattuso actually has to promote Aviguera. But one thing that followed Gattuso throughout his short reign at Valencia was this thing his refusal or his fear to trust this thing to trust young players. Gattuso would rather play fullbacks as midfielders than give the younger ones a chance to play because he believes experience is a greater factor than actually being able to play in that position itself. So yeah, when Aviguera burst onto the scene, I was very happy. And yes, that goal against Real Valladolid actually, if not for the goal against Valladolid, I think Valencia would have been relegated. So the goal against Valladolid brought him closer to the fans. And yes, everybody began to see that, oh yeah, we might have a gem on our hands. Well, yeah, people like me already knew beforehand that yeah, this guy is a gem. And one thing that's very peculiar about Abigail is he can play anywhere across the midfield, whether as a six, as a an attacking midfielder, as a box to box. He has the abilities. He's a very good passer. He has long range. He has long range passing. He has good vision. And recently, he has played more advanced for Valencia, and that's the reason why he's getting goals. Yeah, I think he's on 3 goals this season already, and most the this thing the one that everybody remembers or can everyone can recall is the one against Atletico Madrid. Yeah, so yes, he's becoming an important member, and after 6, 10 matches to be given the number 8 jersey in the first team, it's something. It speaks to his abilities and it speaks to his impact in the team. I think Abigail can go on to be one of the most complete Spanish midfielders, one of the most complete midfielders Spain can actually have in recent this thing in the coming seasons. He's a very complete player. He has the abilities um, of someone like this. And I don't like to make comparisons or draw parallels, but I can draw to parallels to Martin Zubimendi. He has the distribution. If being put in that position, he can perform like Zubimendi. If being put in the Pedri position, I'm not saying he's as good as Pedri, but if he's being put in the Pedri role or Pedri position, he can perform to a certain extent. And if being put to, like he plays for Valencia, he plays something similar to Bellingham, but not as forward. He attacks the box and he's stacked to that with that responsibility of going forward and attacking and being like the attacker or the midfield attacker. So yes, he can play in certain roles and he can play in different roles. I think his versatility is something we have not seen yet, but that's one of his biggest attributes. And yes, he has the potential to play anywhere for any team in the world. I strongly believe that. And he has 100 million release clause, so I'm not scared actually, except if Peter Lim wants to do something out of this world. But I'm not scared. He has 100 million release clause.
Oh wow, I did not know that 100 million release clauses. Certainly good. Not a lot of La Liga teams protect their players like that. One thing
Yeah,
that I noticed.
recently.
Yeah, I think I
What
watched.
happened to your power, Jacob?
Yeah,
It's
it's
gone or
gone.
what?
Yeah, it's gone. Hopefully it'll come back. But let's just keep going.
Okay.
Yeah. I did watch the Granada game, and one thing that stood out to me was in order for Javi Guerra to, really get forward, Pepelu has to stay back and, do a lot of the cleanup and, protect the defense. So how important has he been? You think he is an absolute starter for your club?
The signing of Pepelu actually, it wasn't one I expected Valencia to this thing to do because it was too good to believe that actually Valencia or Peter are actually going after a player of Pepelu's caliber because Pepelu is someone that when he was in the first division with Levante didn't give him more chances, but yeah, you could see the abilities. And in the second half of that season, 3 seasons ago, where they got relegated, that's when he became more prominent. And last season in the Segunda, he had a very good season for this thing for Levante. Although at Levante he played this thing like a box to box or a midfielder that ventures forward and ventures backward, like a box to box midfielder. At Valencia he has been tasked with sitting deeper, benching Gugulaimon in the process. But yeah, he has been a breath of fresh air into Valencia's midfield. He has brought in experience. He has brought in different this a defensive mindset. So, like you said, Pepelu has to sit down, sit deep in between the defense, and because Valencia plays a double pivot, which I do not subscribe to. I don't believe Valencia should play, but I think they have the midfield to actually play 3 midfielders. And if you watch the game, you see that Diego Lopez played as the second striker in a role that doesn't really suit him. But yes, Pepelu has been a breath of fresh air. He has brought in something new, a new dimension into Valencia's midfield. Ugo Gulaimon is different in the sense that Ugo Gulaimon is not a tackler, despite being being a centre back previously before being transformed into a midfielder. Gulaimon is more about dictating the tempo of play, dictating the tempo of the game, dictating where the ball goes to, dictating the midfield and only the midfield. But Pepelu is more of an all-rounder. The tackles, he also has the passes. But I don't think he's as a good passer as Hugo Lamon. But then Pepelu has actually been impressive for Valencia this season. And sometimes you wonder, what would Valencia do without Pepelu?
Yeah, sounds like it. And speaking about players you can't do without your right back, Thierry Correa. He has come into really good form, and he's almost undroppable at the moment. So how crucial is he gonna be to face up against the likes of Vinicius?
unpopular opinion, yeah. Thierry Rendell Correa is the best right back in La Liga currently.
The best one
I
over
see
Carvajal.
is the Caval is old cargo, yeah. I've listened. He isn't in his prime any longer. He's aging. He isn't in his prime any longer. I don't think Caval is as good as Thierry Correa, current Thierry Correa. Thierry Correa has had issues with injuries in recent years. He has been criticism because people believe the reason why he's at Valencia is because of is an agent of Jorge Mendes, who is Peter Lim's very close friend. But I think he's beginning to shut people up with his performances. He's undroppable, and I think Vinicius is going to have a very hard time going up against Thierry Correa, because I think he's also the best. He also has one of the best tackle success rates in La Liga currently. He's a very good tackler. He's very good on the duels. It also depends on how Ancelotti sets up against Valencia. If Vinicius is going to stay outside or stay stay centrally. So it depends. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm not scared of the threats that Vinicius poses because Thierry Correa is a Valencia's right hand side.
Oh wow! Like Farouk, have you heard this line before? Like, defense is not scared of Vinicius.
I mean, I think that's a very bold and brave take from Gaya there, because I feel like okay, I haven't seen Thierry Correa, so I can't come and make a claim that this, but I think going on a stretch and saying that he's the best right back in the league, I want to believe that he's saying something. But then where I would disagree with him is when he talks about the fact that like not being scared to face Vinicius Junior. I mean, I think that's a very huge disservice to Vinicius Junior. I really don't care who you are, even if you're, Kyle Walker or whatever you are, like, facing Vinicius is a really, really difficult, proposition, especially when you're coming to the Bernabeu as well. And I mean, Carlo is always going to set up the same way. So we're just going to have, Vinicius as that inside forward, but we all know that eventually he's going to hold the touchline and, go 1v1 against, the fullback. But yeah, he mentioned about, the fact that, Thierry Correa has a very good tackling success rate. So let's go. Let's see, man. That means it just means one of two things. Either it's a red card and a penalty, or Vinny's totally out of the game, man. We know what is most likely gonna happen, anyways.
I
Yeah.
think you're forgetting to look at it from the mental aspect here. And
Yeah.
besides, Valencia did shut out Vinicius at Mestalla. I mean, that was last May. I think from a mental aspect, Vinicius might be dreading going against Valencia, given what happened at Mestalla last season. And this thing, he has beef with the fans. Valencia fans currently think Vinicius is a liar, and the whole racism fiasco and all of that. So yes, there's also a mental aspect to this game, and it depends on where Vinicius is mentally. I think we tend to overlook the mental aspect of football, and I think yes, it's also something that will come into play on Saturday.
But I think that's the thing. Like, if it was at the Marseille, I might have given a different, comment. That's why I actually specifically mentioned that, at the Bernabeu, because the point is that it's Valencia, that basically, the event as Valencia is what strikes the whole, started with the whole Vini racism, whatever ambassador thing, that was the, at least the flashpoint there. But what I'm just trying to point here is that, that motivation, to prove something against Valencia, and then with the backing of the fans, I think that's why I feel like, that's what's gonna push Vinicius, even to go even further. I think if the game was at the Marseille, I might kind of agree with you about the mental aspect, and also how hostile the Marseille can be against the opposition. So even without the whole racism issue happening, like, the Marseille has always been a very hostile place to go to. So adding with that, I believe that the mental thing that you mentioned is going to be something that will affect him negatively. But I think now that that mental the mental aspect of the game is something that, in my opinion, would be a positive in this game in regards to Vinicius.
Yeah, for me, it's like no matter what, you can shut out Vinicius to a certain extent, even if you're a really good, fast, physical fullback. But there's always going to be that one or two moments where he can create a chance where he breaks free away from the fullback, because you can't stay away with that player who runs for the entire 90 at full speed. So, Thierry Correa certainly has his work cut out for him. And but the last one I wanted to touch upon was there's so many like young players, that you could talk about the likes of Christian Mosquera, center back who's bossing it at the age of 19 in La Liga. You could talk about Gabriel and whatnot. Those are all crucial players. But I'd like to take this moment to talk about one of our own, Hugo Duro. He's finally hit his stride this season with 5 goals already. Uh, Take it away, Gaia. How good is he this season?
The thing with Goduro, yeah. His first season at the club was on loan from Getafe. A Bodala's boy, funny enough. Funny enough, under Bodala's at Getafe, he didn't really appear much, but yeah, so it was a surprising transfer. But yeah, that season, Ugoduro had 10 goals and also a goal in the Copa del Rey final, 2 goals against Atletico Madrid. I think yes, he also scored against Real Madrid and Mestalla. I don't know. I don't know if I'm remembering that correctly. I think generally he's a big game player. He scored this thing. He has scored 2 goals against Atletico Madrid this season. So yes, I think Ugoduri releases going against big teams. He relishes this thing, challenges like this. He currently has a shoulder injury, an injury that was meant to sideline him for 4 weeks to 3 months, and the next week he was back in training and he played the next game. So yes, he's a fighter. He's someone that always has a point to prove. Ugoduru always wants to show that yes, I am there and I have a point to prove, and I'm playing for this shield, I'm playing for this badge, I'm playing for this club. The fans love him. He's a fan favorite because of his this thing, the Toko and Ugoduru thing. Some years back in the Copa del Rey versus Getafe, which helped Valencia on to go on to the final and win the Copa del Rey. His form this season, when comparing it with last season, he had only 1 goal last season, and his form this season actually has been surprising because there were rumors that Valencia did actually go after Rafa Mir to come and be the first choice striker this season. So yes, how he has gone against that whole trajectory of going from possibly being the second choice striker this season to being the first choice striker this season and not letting it weigh down on him mentally, and for a team that doesn't naturally create much for this thing, putting in the work to actually create for yourself and to get the goals. Because yes, Udru is actually one of the best box attacking strikers out there. Actually, one of the best poachers on his day is one of the best poachers out there. Yeah, so yeah, he attacks the box very well. He likes to fashion out chances for himself. He likes to look out for the ball, and he also has the taunts and it is there this thing, his taunt side. So yes. He's a very cunning player, and once he gets it into the defenders, I think it's game over. But yeah, Madrid has a lot of mentality monsters at the back of the defense. Alaba, Rudiger. But yeah, I think it's a game that Ogodru will relish and will be looking forward to. It's a challenge. It's another challenge for him. I think he'll be looking forward to it.
Yeah. Farooq, do you actually think we've shed that curse that was before in us, especially early on in the season? Every former Real Madrid player, they would come on and score against us early on. Do you think our defense has finally mellowed out and found their form? Do you think we can keep out the likes of Hugo Duro?
Well, I think that's the thing. The curse actually is something that exists irrespective of what the form or what the form doesn't look like. We just we go to these games, and I can just mention one game off the top of my head. We played against Schalke. Schalke 04 in I think it was in 2014 if I'm not mistaken, and we scored 6 goals at the Bernabeu. And then what happens?
Huntelaar.
Klaas Huntelaar scores a goal out of nowhere. So that's the thing. Like the curse about former players, coming and doing their bits. It's nothing that is related to what our form is or how the game, how the texture of the game looks like, honestly. But yeah, I will worry about Hugo Duro, especially given the fact that as the guy I rightly mentioned, like he scored against us, once before. So I think there is a very high chance that he might repeat that again in the Valencia shirt. So yeah, I think we are not yet. Although our defense has been really really good pastly, but I think that curse is something that continues to exist.
So it's safe to assume that we're all gonna be predicting at least 1 goal conceded by Madrid, and it's gonna be Hugo Duro.
Exactly. I think there is no clean sheet this weekend.
Absolutely. Okay, I guess we can just head into the both of the team lineups. Gaia, do you want to take us through the Valencia lineup? I guess you usually go with the 4-4-2 with a double pivot.
Yeah, this thing. Barra has stuck with the 4-4-2 this season, and this thing. I think Valencia is one-sided actually. Everybody knows what to expect. You're going to see a 4-4-2, and this thing. Mamadashvili in goal. So yeah, there's no bench in Mamadashvili actually. Thierry Correa is obviously going to start right back. Gabriel Paulista and Christian Mosquera. He had a great game against against Atletico Madrid. I think this will also be a big a big test for him at 19. This thing, and this he has currently played double the games he has played for Valencia in two previous seasons. This season, so yeah, is a talent to relish, and this thing. I'm looking forward to how Mosquera will actually brave against Madrid's attack and how it performs on Saturday. Gaya is obviously going to start. Captain Fantastic. A midfield pivot of Pepelu and Aviguera. Um, Fran Perez will start. I think one question this thing that we might be asking is if Sergi Canos is fit to start or Diego Lopez will play on the left wing since Amala is currently injured. Ugoduru is obviously going to start ahead, except if the injury prevents him. So yes, the strike pairing is what this there are question marks over. If Diego Lopez starts on the left wing, who will pair Ugoduru up top? Maybe Pablo Gonzalez, or he decides to play Roman Yaremchuk. Yaremchuk hasn't he has not hit the ground running in the Valencia jersey yet. So this thing it's left to see who he actually plays. Maybe it's Gugulamon and plays Guerra beside Uguduro. But Gugulamon has not started any league game this season yet. So it's going to be surprising to see what Ruben Barra does on Saturday.
Mm. And
But I doubt he's going to change the system.
yeah, I would try. I feel like this system has been, Valencia's go-to formation, go-to setup for a while now. And with regards to what we can expect in terms of the game, do you think Valencia are going to sit back and hit on the counter? What do you think is like Valencia's weakest point in defense?
I think definitely this thing. Valencia is going to sit back. They are away at the Santiago Bernabeu. But them sitting back does not mean this thing does not mean we're not going to come. We're not going to come and this thing and concede defeat. We're going to come here with a fight. We'll press intensely and this thing. But definitely, Valencia is going to surrender possession. Probably try to play long balls most of the time and refuse to build up from the back. This thing, it's something that has been frequent this season. I think Valencia's biggest problem at the back and defense is actually aerial balls. Valencia has conceded a lot of goals from aerial duels or corners, set pieces. Listen, from crosses aerially, they haven't been able to figure out how to defend their box when it comes to aerial situations. So it has been a recurring problem from last season actually. But yeah, I think if everybody's on their A game, they as I've said before, mentality monsters, things can change. I think the Valencia players believe the Valencia club, the fans as an institution, they believe that Valencia has a point to prove against Real Madrid, especially the fact that they believe they are being lied against and all of that. So I think it's an added incentive, it's an added push on Saturday. The team will go out there to actually fight, and yeah, there's a possibility of defeating Real Madrid. But if going by history books, yeah, I doubt we might actually get a win. But then I believe in my team.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a proper fight no matter the result. But funny you mentioned that you are weak aerially. Farouk can take you through, how bad we are
Yeah, yeah,
at
actually,
defending
that's
crosses.
that's 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 what I was gonna say. Actually, he rightly, pointed out about, that aerial, threats they that oppositions always, faced upon, and it's quite interesting that Valencia actually has conceded 4 goals, from set pieces this year, and it's quite interesting, when you look at that, and it's for us as well. Like we have actually considered 0 set piece goals this year. That's what I was going to try to point out here, that if he thinks like that they're bad, it says a lot. And we've actually scored 5 set piece goals. So I just want I'm trying to paint the picture, because Jacob knows that we always complain about the fact that set pieces are our biggest problem, and it's, I think, 12 games into the season, and we have considered 0 set piece goals, and we scored 5 actually. That kind of maybe alters the reality that like we had actually too focused on what was happening in the past years, and what is not. But I think this is the right time to again give credits to to Tony Rudiger for the way he stepped up big time this season. Honestly, it's been a really really huge step up, and I think he's one of the primary reasons why our set piece deficiency at the back, at least, has been a bit propped up. And obviously, with the presence of Joselu, and also Jude, and with the centre backs as well, that also gives another target in the box for getting the set pieces. But I think definitely, as you rightly mentioned, I think set pieces might be one of the things that we want to exploit against Valencia, because interestingly, actually, Valencia has the when you check the XG against, actually they have the lowest XG against, just after Atletico Madrid. Obviously, Atletico Madrid will be Atletico Madrid. So like from open play, like it's almost impossible to score against them because actually they have an expected goal against of around 9, and they've just conceded 7 goals. So it means they're even overperforming, the XG against. So it means it's very, very difficult, to score against them again, especially when they will even come to the Bernabeu and most likely have a middle or a low block. So it's even going to be much more impossible to break them down. So I think, the set pieces will come in really, really handy against them.
Yeah, hopefully. And before we head into the Real Madrid side of things, I'll just like to take a couple of comments. So Danielson is in the chat. He says, "Big up, guys. Valencia's weakest link is obviously from the back. Is that true, Gaya? Do you have troubles building out from the back, or does he just mean that the defense is weak?"
I think in reality, Valencia has actually under Barra, at least under Barra. I don't think Valencia has had a defensive problem. We might make some stupid errors from time to time, but from last season, Valencia's defense has actually gone up. They've been improving since last season. And Barra comes in, and Barra also decides and makes it his priority to actually shore up the defense and play with a defensive mindset. As you said, we have the second best expected goals against in the league with 9 and considerably 7 goals. And 4 of those 7 goals have been from set pieces, as I've said. We have a set piece issue and an aerial issue. But in terms of building from the back, I think that's not true. That's false. Polista is pretty good with the ball at his feet. Mosquera is also very good with the ball at his feet. Diakabi is good with the ball at his feet. Shenko Skaka is good with the ball at his feet. Yari Gasiorowski, that's one of the best this thing under 19 centre backs, is good with the ball at his feet, which is one of the best attributes building up from the back. I think it's just something that it's a natural instruction from Barra to bypass building up from behind naturally. So we most of the time we tend to go long to avoid mistakes or to avoid sloppiness.
Got it. So it's not the players, it's the system that causes you to, build out fast attacks
Yeah, it's a
instead of.
system.
Yeah, got it. And Sunate is in the chat. He says, I hope we can embarrass Gabriel Paulista. I feel like Sunate has seen enough of the man and has gotten tired of seeing him play.
Yeah, it's that tackle from last season on Vinicius
Yeah,
at the Santiago Bernabeu.
absolutely. I did not want to touch upon a lot of the elements of that game because, of all the controversy and whatnot. And we wanted to keep this podcast a bit civil, but, yeah, definitely a matchup to watch out for this game. And Danielson also says,
Definitely.
we definitely need to watch out for that Javi Guerra guy. Yeah, dude. And we are missing Xiaomini, so it's going to be up to Camavinga to, really man mark the guy and take him out of the game.
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing that Valencia will be looking out for is giving Aviguera the ball at the edge of the box. So I'm listening to take a long range shot, especially if Kepa is in goal on Saturday. And I think he has some weaknesses with saving long range shots. And I think yes, Valencia's strategy will be basic. Just try to be direct, launch long balls in, trying to win most of the aerial duels in Madrid's box, and you know try to get one or two chances in the box and yeah, get a goal. If fortunately enough we get a goal before Real Madrid, then you obviously know what's coming. Show up the back line, defense, sit back, and try to see out a win.
Absolutely.
Right. I have bad news for you. Kepa most likely wouldn't play. Kepa is out for the next 2-3 weeks. Yeah. So you can go and meet your jazz man, let him do some jazz to Looney. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, Kepa has an adductor injury. You're right. He's going to be back after the international break. I guess we can go ahead and look into the Real Madrid news and Real Madrid side of things. And obviously, when it comes to Real Madrid news, the major theme is injuries. Farooq, did you know that Arda Güler also did not train on the pitch today? He was training indoors along with Dani Ceballos. So looks like
Bro,
I'm
I'm
very
actually
worried, man.
thinking,
Like,
I should register as a footballer, man. I can easily pass as 19, 20-year-old, just get some boots and yeah, because right now the point is people are falling like flies. It's almost impossible to have a fit person. I actually thought about Arda, but I'm not sure. Like, but the thing about Arda is that I don't know. Like, was it because of a precaution, or did something happen, or like was it just part of the recovery process, because as we know, like he's not 100% yet.
Yeah, it seems
The
strange to me because he made a few match day squads, and still, if he's training
Exactly.
indoors, that doesn't add up quite well. But hopefully it is prep for him to get ready just after the international break.
Hopefully, man, fingers crossed. I mean, the thing is that I also felt it's a bit weird that till now he hasn't played, and he's been, as you said, in the master squad. Maybe it's just Carlo doing his teas and shit, and something like that. But I don't know. It's just it doesn't add up, honestly. And yeah, Kepa is out. And now also we have to go back to Lunin, which was what the club didn't want in the first place. And Lunin is going to be the keeper at least till the international break. And yeah, let's see, man. Because the thing about goalkeepers, Ross can come into play, but even anything needs to go by. The game yesterday told us that like he's as sharp as as we can expect him to be at least. So hopefully, he can take the baton on, because I just hope like we get out of that game without anything, because also like Valencia is a very very aggressive team as well, and as Gaya rightly pointed out, there's a lot of hostility between the two teams. Even predating the whole Vinicius thing, and that just add more fuel to the fire. So there's going to be a lot of aggression from both sides, I'm assuming. So hopefully we can come out of this unscathed, because we're basically running out of bodies right now. Not even the quality, like just even able bodies are about to get exhausted.
Absolutely. Just talking about able bodies, I don't think Jude is like totally fit. So the news out of the camp is that he's trained with the team, but he still has some discomfort, and they're gonna assess it with the doctors to see if he can actually make it for the Valencia game.
Yeah, that's the thing. Actually, I feel like, because Jude was on the bench in the last game as well, and, basically because obviously the team performed really well, so they just decided not to play him. But I kind of feel like, with Jude, it's one of those injuries that, okay, like he can play, but like there is no need to risk it. I don't know if that makes any sense, because I think it's a shoulder injury, if I'm not mistaken. So, it's one of those situations that, okay, like, yeah, if push comes to shove, you can play him, but, you don't want to risk that. So, I wouldn't be too surprised to see Jude play and then come out just at the hour mark or something like that. So yeah, but if you ask me, like the thing is, what's the alternative? You play Brahim Diaz again. That's the only alternative you have. And do you want him, considering that it's also a home fixture as well, maybe you want him to continue that that good run of form that he's had the previous game, and then you just see what's happened. After like the first half, you evaluate the situation again and see, okay, is it working, is it not working, and then you can think about introducing Jude or not. But yeah, I mean, if you ask me, I would just start Jude right away and not risk anything.
Absolutely, I would do the same. Let's just watch out for how it goes, and then bring on Jude if we really need it. Yeah, but before we head into the Real Madrid lineups, let's take a couple more comments. Ashik says, "Can we expect some entertaining football?" So I think Gaia, you should take this. Do you think there's actually going to be entertaining football in this game, or is it going to be a haram ball?
I think I'll go with add-on ball. I think this thing there's a lot of tension going into this game. I think that'll translate into what is being put out on the pitch. I think especially with the fact that Valencia is not going to try to play with the ball. They'll try to disrupt play, try to avoid Madrid getting into the box. And I think this thing from Madrid's point of view, I think Madrid will keep the ball. I don't know what it means by entertaining football actually, except if it means end-to-end action. But yeah, from Madrid point of view, yeah, they'll most likely have most of the ball. Try to get in the box and all of that, whatnot. But I think we'll see a lot of tackles, we'll see a lot of fouls in this game. And yes, hopefully it's a clean one. Hopefully this thing, there's no fiasco at the end.
That's up to the referee, but let's hope. Ashik also says, I think this pretty much summarizes Real Madrid fans, opinions about Valencia. So he says, in this case, I want Real Madrid to send Valencia back to the abyss as a payback for last season. So Farooq, do you actually think our home ground is going to be very hostile towards Valencia? Or
Exactly. That's what I was trying to mention to Guy when we talked about the mental aspect, because I kind of feel like the team right now, the thing is, okay, we lost to Valencia, at the Marseille last year. You also couple that with the whole Vinicius thing, and also like Valencia and Real Madrid are not like it's always been a compost style fixture. So I kind of feel like there is extra motivation, extra fuel to this game. This is the point I was trying to make, that the fans, the players, everyone will want to show, as he said, like, we want to kick them back, to the bottom of whatever they came from. So that's just the thing, like, so the thing is that, and I think that also will be a fuel for Vinicius Junior specifically as well, because honestly, I feel like he primarily we want to show, we want to have a fun, because let's not forget, even before the whole racist thing happened, Vini was basically fighting with everyone there in Valencia, if you could recall. So like it's a game that our players really have a lot to prove. So I think the fans and the players will be out to show something, and I believe that hopefully and yeah, okay, yeah, obviously we know it's a very fine line. You don't want to get too emotional, because if you get too emotional, then shit can hit the fan. But I think we can use that as a fuel actually to maybe not have a very good game, but at least have a very very high scoring match.
Fingers crossed. That's all everyone needs.
Fingers crossed.
So let's do a quick Real Madrid lineup. So do you think there's going to be a lot of changes from the team that faced against Braga? So obviously Carvajal might come in. Who else? Modric might sit on the bench. Do you think?
Yeah, I think Modric goes. Modric is on the bench. I think. But actually, because Modric started on the bench, so I think he starts this game. Actually, sorry, my bad. I think Modric might start, but the question is who does. Okay, so let's just go. We have like Looney in goal. That doesn't change. So we are assuming that it's going to be Ferland Mendy and Carvalho as left back, right back, and then we are thinking it's again going to be Nacho and
How come?
Rudiger.
Do you think Alaba needs more rest?
That's the question. Actually, I'm not too sure about the fitness level of David Alaba as well, but let's just assume that if he's fit,
Oh,
he
actually,
plays
like,
definitely
isn't
100%.
Rudiger suspended for this game, or was that suspension already served? I think Rudiger is suspended for this game.
Oh, really?
Yep. He got that yellow, remember, in the last game. He was
Oh,
shoving the
yeah,
player.
yeah. I remember, like, it was a very stupid yellow, right? Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. I remember that, actually. Yeah. I remember that now. I remember that. Yeah, so it's going to be natural of a combination. The Rudiger is out. I remember, yeah, that was, because even I was complaining. I remember that, like, why was he doing that? Like, it's something totally unnecessary. But then, he misses this game. So, yeah, it's natural. But anyways, like, that kind of selects itself. So it just goes back to that point that, we don't want that, any more injuries, because basically we're running out of body. So, but yeah, that's that. So we come to the midfield, and it's most likely Tony. It's not most likely. It's Tony Kroos, Camavinga, and Fede and Bellingham, I think, or Brahim. So I kind of think, like, we still have the whole Modric as an impact sub kind of thing.
I
Because,
think with just this lineup, the midfield, the defense does not surprise me. We don't have a lot of options, right? And with regards to the forward line, like, the million-dollar question is Joselu going to start? Especially, since Gaya mentioned that aerial threats are their weaknesses.
That's true, but I think if there's anything we know is that Carlos continued to back Rodrigo, through thick and thin, through bad form and good form. So I kind of feel like this is just Vinicius Rodrigo starting all over, as this is written all over it. I think that's just the thing there. Like, Carlos continued to back and Rodrigo, and I think after the performance he gave midweek, I think that's even more that's one of the best periods to just keep him there, because he's finally looked like he remembered how to play football again. You want to have that continuity that goes there. So I think it might be right to just keep Rodrigo and Vinicius together.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be the same. But we might need to bring on Joselu, if we do need a goal.
Yeah,
Ashik, as usual, was predicting that there's gonna be a Joselu hat trick. Do you think you finally have to shell out a shot? So Gaya, like, just for catching you up, there's a bet going on between Ashik and Farooq. So if Joselu scores a hat trick in La Liga or whatever, Farooq owes Ashik a jersey.
It's definitely not happening against Valencia. I think despite our shortcomings aerially, I think Mamadas really has been very, very, very sturdy this season. He has been very safe this season. A clean sheet against Granada recently. He had a very great game against Athletic Bilbao. I think he had a clean sheet against Atletico Madrid too. So yes, he releases challenges. I can say he's the best goalkeeper in the league, but I know some people will come for me. But yeah, he's top three in the league. I think it's top three goalkeepers in La Liga at the moment. So yes, I don't think Joselu will have it easy.
Mm.
Oh, top three keepers. Who are your top three keepers, man? I wonder now who the top three keepers are.
Mark Andrews again, Mamadashvili, and Dimitrievski. Yes, yeah, I'll go with Dimitrievski.
Dimitrievski. Oh wow, we already faced him. Mm.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
quite
yeah, yeah.
interesting.
He has the highest number of clean sheets this season.
Uh-huh.
Well,
We should have caught
interesting.
that in the
I was
preview, Farooq.
thinking,
We did not know that.
oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking you were gonna go, with I don't know the regular names, the All Blacks and what's he called, the Getafe goalkeeper. I forgot his name.
David
Uh,
Surya.
David Soria and those guys.
I think I don't really I think All Black as in recent seasons. I think in the last two seasons dropped in level a little bit. I think Muhammad really has actually improved, and I think yeah he can stand side by side with All Black. He's not above. I'm not trying to hype him or overhype him, but I think he has the abilities, and in this thing at least he has more clean. I think he has more clean sheets than All Black this season.
Wow.
No, okay. I mean, but then where would you rate a keeper keeper?
Please let's be serious. Let's be serious. We're here to be serious.
Man, like if you notice, like Real Madrid has the best defense in La Liga, so Kepa needs some.
Man, we're mentioning keeper and he's like, let's be serious. Come on, what do you mean? Our keeper has been doing well, man. Come on,
Let,
man.
let's.
Credit where it's due, bro. I
I'm
can
I'm not
understand
saying
the skepticism.
I'm not saying he hasn't been doing well. I'm not saying he hasn't been doing well. Yeah, I think he's second for most clean sheets in the league. And I think that's five clean sheets.
Mhm.
Muhammad has football. I don't think he's as good as Muhammad is. I think if Muhammad had this thing, had the Madrid defense sitting in front of him, I think we'll be saying different things, won't we?
Well, I'm not too sure.
Let's see. Let's see. I
Nah,
honestly
you
believe
have to
like
admit, you have to
Kepa.
admit.
Man, Kepa has
I
been
mean, the
like
point
really
is,
good this
what I'm
season.
trying to say is that when you come to Real Madrid goalkeepers, like statistics has never been our best shout because I mean, before Thibaut won it in 21, like we have to go back to 2007, the last time a Real Madrid goalkeeper won the Zamora Trophy. You understand? So when you start, counting clean sheets and something like that, like it just doesn't fly with our goalkeepers because that's just the way we are. Like we concede a lot of chances, and our goalkeepers just unfortunately cannot. You can save everything. You can save what you can save, and stuff happens. So that's why I said I'm not too sure. Not because like I don't know his release abilities, and honestly I also rate him very highly. And even like there were talks about Real Madrid might look to get him when Thibaut got injured, but obviously you can understand the hesitancy from Real Madrid because Thibaut is out for a year, and then if he comes back next year, what happens to this expensive and very very talented goalkeeper that you have. So yeah, it's not about the lack thereof of the player himself. But yeah, I mean for the future, man, you never can tell. Let's see if we can open that route from Valencia to Real Madrid because for some reason you guys just prefer to keep supplying Barcelona and let them keep
I'm not looking
pushing
forward to
but
Madrid opening that shot.
nah, we're gonna open it eventually. It's Peter Lin, man. Money talks. So if there's anything that's the thing.
Yeah, man. I guess we wrapped up the lineups, but I did want to get Gaya's perspective on our fullback situation. So, Guy, you know that Fran Garcia was one of the best left backs in last season, and this season at Real Madrid, he just hasn't been able to find a spot in the team. And I think we can, as Real Madrid fans, we can all say that he just doesn't have the know-how to, when to make the run, when to come back on defense, and how to make those passes. So, do you think where do you see his career going from here?
I think with Fran Garcia, Madrid have to exercise patience. He's coming in from Rayo Vallecano into the Real Madrid system. It's a whole different game to be very honest. At against at Vallecano, he had Alvaro Garcia ahead of him. Both of them were very fast. There was chemistry between both of them. I think he's in a new system, a new environment. He has to adapt. Unfortunately, he's not adapting to the league, but he's adapting to Real Madrid itself. I think so. The club has to exercise patience. He can get game time in the regular this thing in the small games. As Farouk said, there aren't really small games, but yeah, in the games where I'm listening, where you think, yeah, okay, Frank Garcia can play in this game, he has to get that game time, he has to develop, and he has to adapt to the idea of Real Madrid itself. I think he's better than Ferland Mendy, but yeah, one has been at the club for a very long time, and one is just new to the system. One is new to having this thing, having Vinicius, or well, the 4-4-2 diamond, but then Vinicius drifts wide, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a whole new game for him. It's a whole new system. He doesn't have this thing. Alvaro Garcia making blistering runs into the box with the ball and him waiting on the wings and all of that. It's a whole different game.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think even Fran has to, exercise some patience, not be so frustrated that he can't make it onto the pitch because, we have some really good players there. Even Kamavinga, is a world beater, I would say, in my opinion, at left back. Um,
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And also, just to touch add to what, the guy was saying about, Fran as well, is that it's not just about, Fran coming to a new team and a new system and all that. It's also about the fact that, we're playing a 4-4-2 diamond now, and which guy a bit touched upon is that, we have inside forwards or, Vinicius who likes to hold the touchline. So I kind of feel like there is the formation hasn't matured yet, for the likes of Vini to understand the roles that they need to play and how, the fullbacks come into play in this formation. So I think that's one of the major things as well, is that even the players around that play the 4-4-2 are not even too familiar and comfortable in this formation yet. So it's asking too much, of Fran all of a sudden to come and become a master of it. But then the thing is that football is a cutthroat business. If Fran doesn't if he doesn't sort his shit out in the next 6 to 12 months, like, I mean, he's just gonna be one of those players that came and couldn't do it. Like we've seen a lot of them over the
oh
past
yeah,
couple
the
of years.
Odriozolas and what.
Exactly, exactly. Just to name a few, that there've been a lot of very. And the thing is that especially when you come at low cost, low risk kind of thing. It's a player you can easily turn over within the Spanish league or even other European leagues as well. So you can easily turn them for a profit. So yeah,
Yeah, I actually think he would do a very decent job in the EPL, his style of play just suits them.
you never can tell, man. That can be. I mean, let's find some rich oil money to give us money so we can pay for Alfonso Davies now.
Alfonso Davies, yeah. All right. I guess we talked about the lineups. We talked about all things Valencia and Real Madrid. Before we head into the predictions, let's just go through the last of the comments. So Alfredo Barantes, he has his comment in Spanish, but I did take the time to actually go to Google Translate and translate it. So he says, we have the impression that between Girona and Rayo Vallecano, both teams could find it difficult to score. It looks like this could end in a draw. We believe that. What are you doing on
Between
a Real?
Girona and Rayo,
Yeah, like what are you doing on a Real Madrid podcast, man? uh, but anyways, yeah, I think if Girona and they are leading, and we hope they drop points eventually. And if it's early on, it's less pressure for us. So yeah, hopefully I'm backing Rayo again to pull off a job
I
against Girona.
think
Oh,
I think this is the best chance for Girona for you guys actually because Rayo are on like an 8 game unbeaten run in the league
mm,
under Francisco. So yes, if Girona were to drop points, it has to be against Rayo Vallecano. It has to be against Rayo Vallecano. So yes, this is Madrid's best chance to go forward.
Guy, like, what's your take on Girona? Because Girona haven't really faced up against the top half of La Liga that much. And do you think they can sustain this form against the bigger teams?
I think yeah. The thing is, if I say they can sustain this form, it's mere speculation. It's not this thing. It's not honest. It's just it's mere speculation because last season they started on a terrible note and this thing they started building up and did actually finish in a respectable position last season and they retained Michel. They didn't sack him despite the terrible start to the season. I think this season, the system that Mikel put in place last season, it is what is actually what is being is what is helping them, and what they're reaping what they're reaping fruits of. So yes, it is sustainable. In all honesty, it is sustainable. The only loss they have had this season is against Real Madrid. Although they haven't really faced this thing, a big team except Real Sociedad, who they drew to. Sevilla, they beat Sevilla. And yes, just Real Madrid. They beat Osasuna last week. That was 4-2. They are facing Rayo Vallecano. They are facing Valencia in 2 match days, and Barcelona after. So I think yes, they are facing big teams now. After the game against Barcelona, they will face Alaves, then Betis and Atletico Madrid. So it is in these games that I would actually see, are these people actually title contenders, or they're just going there, they're just there to contest for Europe. But in the long run, and from a general view for the league, it is actually a healthy type of competition for the league to have.
Absolutely. I, for one, welcome, the competition from Girona. At least as long as Barcelona and, Atleti are not up top, I'm happy.
Well, yeah, just to add to what he was saying. Actually, Guy totally hit the nail on the head. I think for me, I personally don't. And he was right. Everything you say is just speculative. There is nothing to substantiate the fact that Girona can hold this league, or what is not. But one thing for sure is that it's really really good, to see that clubs actually can continue to believe in a philosophy, and that's the important thing there. And also, let's not forget the influence of the City Group. And if there's anything we've known of the City Group, is that they are very very keen with a peculiar with what they want and how they want to achieve it. So I think that's one of the reasons why we see that Mitchell is not being sacked, and today they are reaping the rewards of what they're seeing. But for me, I don't think they're contenders. At least I think after like 20 matches, at least in January, then we can discuss and see where they are or what they aren't. But one important thing is just the fact that we haven't seen a lot of this from La Liga teams, like where, a coach comes and, builds his idea and builds his ideology and, has the club backing him and, bringing in players shrewdly, like free transfers, and you have veterans like, Daily Blind also coming in and, doing their stuff. So it's really, really refreshing and entertaining to see this in the Spanish league as well.
Absolutely. And Ashik says, Ricardo Zamora played more professional matches as a Real Madrid goalie, and Real Madrid goalies can hardly ever win the Zamora trophy. The irony.
The irony indeed. The irony indeed. It is what it is, man.
Yeah. And Jermaine Pereira asks, do you think we will see Cooler play this weekend? Hell no, man. So the news out of the camp is that we're going to see him after the international break. He was training indoors. He wasn't training on the pitch with the team today. So yeah, definitely not going to play this weekend.
Yeah, I mean it's just in a couple of weeks, man. It's just 2-3 weeks later, so it's fine. So it's not that too much far away. So
I think from the first international break, it has always been the same thing with Adagula. So yes, if you're saying in a couple of weeks, you're not sure if there's going to be a relapse or not.
Oh boy, come on, man! Like, don't jinx
yeah,
us already.
That's true actually. But the point is that the good thing is that he's back training on the pitch and training with the group and making match day squads. So at least that gives us a bit of hope, and we just can speculate from there as well. We all wish that, because he's also quite young, and this is a play that I always try to reiterate, that we have to calm, or rather tame the expectations we have. Arda basically has played just 18 months of professional football, and even that 18 months, half of it was just as someone who's going to come off the bench, start here and there, so he's not someone that he's a seasoned footballer, because people always try to forget that, because for me in football, age doesn't matter, but the point is experience matters. When someone has played 3, 4, 5 seasons, you can still be calling them a youngster or a starlet or something like that. But for Arda, basically he's only played maybe 6 months of continuous professional football, so it's quite difficult to know what you're going to get with Arda. So I think it's going to take a bit of time before we can see anything.
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, with Brahim Diaz, with Jude Bellingham, and Adagula, in the 4-4-2 diamond, what role do you think would befit Adagula in the 4-4-2 diamond, or do you think that 10 role with Bellingham, Brahim Diaz in the fray, he might actually have to go out on loan very soon?
I actually think, like, I'll go before Farooq, but I actually think Arda Güler is going to get more opportunities as the season wears on, especially if Arda can get some form going, And I don't think Brahim really has a future here. So if someone has to go out, I feel like Brahim will go out on loan or he'll get sold faster than Arda.
Actually, to answer the question, I would say like the 4-4-2 isn't the future of the club because the point is we're only playing a 4-4-2 because we don't have a striker. The summer comes, definitely we buy someone. We buy someone, we go back to the flat 4-3-3, and then we see the positions that Arda is going to take. And I think it just goes back to what Jacob is saying. I feel like Brahim is going to be quite lost in a 4-3-3 formation, so I just don't see how Brahim can have continuity in the team. And the point is, even based on the reports we're hearing, like even I think Moda, they were saying like the club actually, like Carlo was so impressed by Arda that he actually placed him as the replacement for Jude, actually, not Brahim. But the injury just destroyed everything. So yeah, I totally agree with Jacob about the fact that Arda is most likely here to stay rather than Brahim.
But then again, it's too early, like you'll only know once you put him inside some La Liga matches, and maybe Carlo changes his mind after that.
Exactly that's the point I'm saying. Like it's so early, and also given the fact that Arda basically is still actually understanding how professional football works. So it's not something that's gonna just happen overnight. But I want to believe that hopefully the club can show the patience and understanding, and hopefully allow to see him grow and develop into what he can be. But then, as we know, again, Real Madrid is a cutthroat environment. You have to really be the very best of the best, to make it through.
Absolutely. All right, that pretty much wraps it up. Let's do predictions. So Gaya, you go first. What do you think the scoreline is going to be?
I think a 1-1 draw. I'll go
wow.
with a 1-1 draw. I'm going with Valencia getting a point out of this game. Yes, I believe in my team. I won't necessarily say we can win the game. Well, history has a lot to say about that. I think the officiating will be against us. I think everything is literally against us going into this game. But yeah, I think Valencia will come out to 1-1 draw.
My brother, I thought you would go the typical Nigerian route. I know Nigerians are always chaotic. I was thinking you're going to be like Valencia is going to win 3-0. We will tear everything down. We will burn the Bernabeu from the top to ashes. You should make it more exciting now. Don't be political, and don't try to be politically correct now. We are in the show. We are in the show business. Now everybody wants to, be controversial and have controversial things. And I know nobody does it better than my fellow Nigerians. We are always, in the thick of things. You are very calm. I think you are a fake Nigerian yourself, man. We don't even know. That can maybe you're actually Jacob. In Nigeria, like we have a very, very strong, okay, not hate, but like banter towards Ghanaians. So if you want to insult a Nigerian, just tell him he's from Ghana. That kind of thing. Yeah. Anyways, man, just jokes apart, though. Like I totally, understand, where you're coming from the 1-1, but I'm just gonna go a bit further and go, a 2-1 victory for Real Madrid.
I'm hoping, for me, I hope we shed the curse of preventing, former Real Madrid players scoring against us. So I'm once again gonna predict a clean sheet for us. Maybe a 2-0. I feel like Vinny has a point to prove, and he's gonna score a goal at least.
You do know that there are two possibilities of a former Real Madrid player scoring against you. Diego Lopez is a former Real Madrid player. Ukuduru is also a former Real Madrid player. So yes, there are two angles to that, yeah.
Now I'm not so confident about the clean sheet. Fuck. Yeah, a 2-1 is probably like the safest way to go as a Real Madrid fan. Jermaine Pereiro, he says 3-1 to Madrid because of home advantage. And obviously we know Ashik's prediction as well. He's going to predict a 3-0 with Joselu scoring the hat-trick.
Very good one. Very good one.
Yeah. All right. That pretty much wraps it up. Do you guys want to discuss anything else? Gaya, do you have anything to say before we wrap things up?
No, I don't have much to say except I'm looking forward to a great game from Valencia, most importantly, and a very calm one actually, and hoping that we'll get the job done against Real Madrid because I think this win will actually boost morale going forward, and it's all our season further.
Oh wow. Okay. But Ashik actually has a correction. He says it's going to be Real Madrid 5, Valencia 0. Vinny, Rodrigo, and Joselu is going to have a hat-trick.
My man, I think he's hunting this jersey, man. Hopefully, one of these days, Profosilo can get the job done for the man, and then we can find a way to ship down a jersey to I don't know. I think he's in the UK anyway, so we can try to ship something now. Hopefully.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's pretty much wrap this up. So I see that there's 9 of you already in the chat even now. So if you have not already, please go hit the like button. It really helps. And if you're new here, Jermaine Pereira, or if you're new here, you do consider subscribing. We do this every match day. We have a preview and post match. We have some awesome content out of the Bernabeu as well, with our fan camps coming up for this home game as well. Big upset for that. So do check out our Instagram and our YouTube shorts if you have the time. And before we go, like Gaya's socials are in the description below. Go consider follow him, and stay tuned for his La Liga updates, because he's gonna be tweeting all about Valencia, Almeria, and Sociedad. Last but not the least, let's thank our partners over at Real Madrid Committee for their awesome support. And Gaya, feel free to say something that comes to your mind. But me and Farooq, we know what we're gonna say. Hala Madrid.
Hala Madrid!
Amunt Valencia.